According to announcements made at the G20 Summit and strategic briefings from organizations like the European Commission, the White House, and India's Ministry of Commerce, a multi-billion, potentially trillion-dollar trade corridor is being developed to connect India directly to Europe through the Middle East, and if completed, it could completely reshape global trade. This isn't just another infrastructure project, this is a direct challenge to some of the world's most important trade routes that have dominated global commerce for decades. So, what exactly is this project? Why are so many powerful countries involved? And how could it change the balance of global trade? Let's break it down. The project is known as the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or IMEC. At its core, IMEC is designed to create a seamless, multimodal trade network connecting India to Europe. But instead of relying solely on traditional sea routes like the Suez Canal, this corridor combines shipping, rail, and logistics hubs across multiple regions. Here's how it works. Goods would first travel by sea from India to ports in the Middle East, primarily the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. From there, they would move across the Arabian Peninsula via high-speed rail networks connecting to Jordan and Israel. Finally, they would be shipped again across the Mediterranean into Europe. This combination of sea and land transport creates a faster, more flexible route, and in global trade, speed is everything. To understand why this matters, you need to look at the current system. Right now, a significant portion of global trade between Asia and Europe passes through the Suez Canal. It's one of the most important maritime choke points in the world, but it's also vulnerable. Disruptions, whether from accidents, geopolitical tensions, or capacity limits, can have massive ripple effects across global supply chains. We've already seen this happen. When a single container ship blocked the canal, global trade slowed down dramatically, costing billions of dollars every day. IMEC is designed to reduce that dependency. By creating an alternative route, it gives countries and companies more options, making supply chains more resilient and less vulnerable to disruptions. But this project is about more than just efficiency. It's about geopolitics, because when you build infrastructure at this scale, you're not just moving goods, you're shaping influence. IMEC brings together a powerful group of countries. India, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, the United States, and the European Union are all involved in supporting or developing different parts of the corridor. That alone tells you how important this project is. It represents a new kind of partnership, one that connects South Asia, the Middle East, and Europe into a single economic framework, and that has major implications. For India, IMEC offers a faster and more strategic route to European markets. It strengthens its position as a global manufacturing and export hub while reducing reliance on longer maritime routes. For the Middle East, especially countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, this is an opportunity to transform into global logistics and trade centers. Instead of being just energy exporters, they can become critical connectors in the global economy. And for Europe, it provides greater access to Asian markets while diversifying trade routes and reducing risk. But there's another layer to this. IMEC is also being seen as a counterbalance to other global infrastructure initiatives, especially China's Belt and Road Initiative. For years, China has been investing heavily in infrastructure projects across Asia, Africa, and Europe, building ports, railways, and trade networks that expand its economic influence. IMEC introduces an alternative, a different model of connectivity, one that is backed by a coalition of countries rather than a single dominant power. This creates a new dynamic in global infrastructure competition because now countries have options. They can choose between different networks, partnerships, and routes, and that changes the balance of influence. But building something like IMEC is not simple. We're talking about constructing railways across deserts, upgrading ports, integrating customs systems, and coordinating between multiple governments with different policies and priorities. It's a massive logistical challenge. There are also political complexities. The corridor passes through regions that have historically experienced tensions. Cooperation between countries will be essential for the project to succeed. And while recent diplomatic developments have improved relations in parts of the Middle East, long-term stability will be critical. Then there's the question of cost. Projects of this scale require enormous investment, potentially hundreds of billions of dollars. Funding, execution, and long-term maintenance will all play a role in determining whether IMEC becomes a reality or remains a vision. But despite these challenges, momentum is building, agreements have been signed, plans are being developed, and global interest is growing because the potential benefits are simply too significant to ignore. Shorter delivery times, lower transportation costs, more resilient supply chains, and stronger economic integration across 3 major regions. If successful, IMEC could reduce transit time between India and Europe by up to 40%. That's not just an improvement, that's a transformation. It could change how goods move across continents, how businesses plan their supply chains, and how countries position themselves in the global economy. But perhaps the most important impact is strategic. Because infrastructure defines influence. The countries that control trade routes often shape global economics. They set the rules, they influence decisions, and they hold leverage. IMEC has the potential to redistribute that influence, to create new centers of power, and to challenge long-standing systems. So what we're witnessing is not just the construction of a trade corridor. It's the emergence of a new economic architecture, one that connects India, the Middle East, and Europe in ways we haven't seen before, one that reduces dependency on traditional choke points, and one that introduces a new level of competition into global infrastructure development. But the story is still unfolding. Much depends on execution, on cooperation, and on the ability of these countries to turn ambition into reality. Because building infrastructure is one thing, sustaining it is another. Still, one thing is clear. The world is entering a new era of connectivity, an era where trade routes are no longer fixed, but evolving. And at the center of this shift is a corridor that could redefine how the world moves, from India, through the Middle East to Europe, quietly, strategically, and with massive implications for the future of global trade. Thanks for watching. Like the video and don't forget to subscribe us.